It's about 5 o'clock on a fine summer afternoon, and we can now see that we're in the drawing room of Lorraine Barry's news house in Knightsbridge. This is a home which could belong to no one but a famous actress or set designer. The room, suggested simply by the furniture, is dominated by the impressive oil painting of Lorraine, which sits on the easel. She is shown in the portrait sitting before her dressing room mirror, staring fixedly at herself. Behind her chair, and also reflected in the mirror, is her maid-cum-dresser, Nora Mitchell. Nora enters wearing a discreet black dress and white apron, looking exactly as she does in the painting. She's a laconic woman of a certain age, apparently unimpressed by the world she inhabits. The music fades. Nihilus, do you want to take Nora, or should I take Nora?
I can take Nora.
All right, you can take it, Nora.
Miss Barry won't be more than a few minutes, so make yourself comfortable.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Don't mention it. There are cigarettes if you want to smoke.
No, thank you, not just yet.
I'll go and fetch the tea tray. Miss Barry always likes to pour it herself. She makes quite a production of it, as a matter of fact, having had to do it so often on the stage. It's become second nature to her. In Wise Man's voice, she poured out no fewer than 1,472 cups of tea and ate 736 sandwiches.
Good heavens.
And that doesn't include rehearsals and the 3-week tryout in Liverpool.
She must have gotten awfully sick of them.
She did. So we try and ring the changes. Joke, the prop man meet, we used to put our heads together.
Did that help?
We did caviar one night, chopped head the next, then a nice bit of gammon and so on.
I see.
Once we tried Lyle's golden syrup as a surprise, but it was too runny and got all over her frock, which didn't go down very well.
Luckily, there's no eating in my play.
Ring, ring. Excuse me. Hello? Yes, this is Miss Barry's residence. No, afraid you can't at the moment. She's in conference. Oh, it's you, Miss Blake. Now I recognise your voice. No, I really can't disturb her now. She's talking to the author of the new play. Oh, yes, he's very nice. Right, I'll tell you, Colt. Well, you might catch her about 7 before she goes out, or if not, you better try in the morning. Bye-bye for now. That woman's a pest. Marion Blake.
Ah!
Always badgering Mrs. Barry about something or other. Can't think why she puts up with all that gush.
Would you say she's a good actress?
All right, a small part, but give her a big seat to play and she's murder. She'd understudied Miss Barry years ago in Boulder's Brass and had to go for a Thursday matinee. It was a killer. She's one of them gaspers.
Gaspers?
You know, gets all breathless in the emotional bits and cries herself to a standstill. Thought she'd had an asthma attack. She'll go to town, that part you've got her down for.
Which part?
Stella?
Oh, I don't think that's quite settled yet. You've read the play then, though.
Of course. I read all Miss Barry's scripts.
Did you like it?
Oh, it's not my place to say whether I liked it or not.
No, but I should certainly welcome your opinion.
Well, if you really want to know what I think, you're going to find yourself in trouble for that last act.
Most people who read it seem to think Act 3's the best.
It reads all right. It's when they start acting. It's that I'm talking about.
Does Miss Barry think this too?
I wouldn't know. We haven't discussed it.
She must be interested in your opinion if she asks to read her scripts.
It's not so much that she asks me to read them. She just leaves them lying about.
Oh.
Anyway, I wouldn't worry about it now. That's what tryouts are for, aren't they? Take my advice and have your typewriter handy when you get to Manchester.
Yes, but what exactly do you think is wrong with the last act?
Well, I just don't think you'd ever get her to do it.
I'm sorry, do what?
But before Brian can have his mind put at rest, the door opens and Lorraine Barry comes swiftly into the room. She is an exceedingly attractive woman in her late 50s, but of course looks a good deal younger than that. She is obviously and unmistakably a star, which means that over and above her natural good looks, she has a great vitality and an air of assurance acquired from years of indiscriminate adulation. She is wearing gray linen slacks, a lime-colored sports shirt, and enormous dark glasses. In her left hand, she carries a blue-covered typescript, and in her right, a small Aberdeen Terrier. I forgot about that. Look! You've come at exactly the right moment. I was just reading your wonderful play for the 7th time. Nora, darling, be an angel and take Bothwell from me. He's getting restless, and we all know what that means. Pop him out into the mews, and we'll have the tea now. He's called Bothwell because Paul Martin gave him to me when I was playing Mary Stuart in Newcastle. As a matter of fact, I don't believe Mary Stuart herself got much further than Newcastle, did she?
I'm not really sure.
Poor creature. I enjoyed playing her up to a point, but she was a cracking fool. I have no idea what the fuck voice I'm doing for this character. Never put
Same
the right,
TBH.
right foot from the word go. I always think she and Marie Antoinette were two of the silliest women in history.
Well, they certainly paid for it.
But they needn't have if only they'd had just a smidge of common sense. I wear these dark glasses when I meet people the first time because I'm fundamentally a very shy person and they give me a sense of security. But now that I've seen what you're like, I don't feel shy anymore, so I'll take them off. There, that's better.
What a wonderful painting.
It's a Charles Donovan. He did it before the war. Personally, I loathe it, but it's supposed to be one of the best things he ever did.
He certainly caught you awfully well.
It's really better of Nora than it is of me. Look at the way he's done the hair just on the point of collapse, and the painting of the hands and that heavenly safety pin. It's terrifying, isn't it? I need hardly say that she despises it. She says it makes her look like a lavatory attendant, and of course I've never had the heart to tell her that's exactly what she does look like. Do sit down and relax. She sits in the armchair and Brian perches with desperate care on the edge of the sofa. Nora returns without Bothwell, but with the tea tray, which she places on the coffee table.
Oh, Miss Blake called.
Oh, Lordy.
I told her to try again around 7.
Poor Marion. Was she in one of her states?
She sounded much the same as usual.
Marion Blake is an old friend of mine, but I'm afraid she does live on her nerves. Do you know her?
No, we've never met.
That's a treat in store for you.
Go away, Nora, if you can't be nice.
Oof.
I couldn't live without Nora. She's been with me since I was at the Haymarket long before the war, which dates us both, now I come to think of it. This is China tea. If you prefer Indian, there's masses in the kitchen, and you can have a little pot all to yourself.
No, China's perfect, thank you.
You know, you're quite different from what I thought you'd be. I can't imagine why, but I expected someone much older and drier. In fact, I can tell you now I was really quite nervous. I've always had a dreadful inferiority complex about authors. To me, there's something incredible about people being able to sit down and write plays and books. It's torture to me to have to write so much as a postcard.
Oh, I find postcards difficult myself.
I'm just physically incapable of stringing 3 words together on paper. I suppose it's never having been to school properly. I'm completely uneducated, you know.
That's very hard to believe.
It's true. I swear it. I used to drive poor Duty Rawlings quite frantic when he directed me in The Cuckold of... what the fuck? Eastcheap? Duty's an Oxford don with a passion for the theatre.
Duty.
Yes, I know.
Of course you do. Well, he was astounded that any in the world could be as ignorant as me.
I bet you knew more than he did about the theater.
God knows I ought to. I've been at it since I was 7.
7? What were you playing?
Mamilius in the Winter's Tale. A sad tale's best for winter. I have one of Sprites and Goblins.
Where was that?
The Palace, Manchester, back in 1900 and frozen to death. I don't know whether you like sugar or milk or neither, so just help yourself. I made those little scones myself, specially for you, so you must eat them all up to the last crumb. I adore baking, but I never dare go into the kitchen when Nora's in the house, so I send her off to the pictures every so often to have a real field day. Do you cook?
Only scrambled eggs, I'm afraid.
There's nothing in the world more divine than scrambled eggs, particularly if you mix in some of that rather common-looking pink caviar you can get at Fortnum's. It's a bit salty, but it zips them up in no end.
It sounds wonderful. I'll try it.
Tell me about this new man who's directing the play, Ray something or other.
Ray Malcolm.
Yes, I missed the thing he did at Hammersmith and Wild Horses Wouldn't Drag Me to Stratford, particularly with poor Etta Marling flogging her way through Cleopatra, so I've never really seen any of his work at all.
That's a pity, because he's quite extraordinary. A truly first-class mind.
But does he really know about the theater? Or is he one of those bright sparks who pop out of the services bursting with theories and doing endless productions of Murder in the Cathedral?
No, I wouldn't say that. The way he talks about the play always makes me think that it would be wonderful to be directed by him. I've done a little acting myself, you see.
Good for you. Where?
Aldershot, during the war. I don't really think I was cut out for it, but meeting Ray made me long to have another go. I always thought of suggesting myself to play the boyfriend.
What fun.
But he'll have something else in mind, I expect. And anyway, I'm probably not the right type. The other day, the producer's office, he was praising you to the skies.
Was he indeed?
Yes, he said that your talent was clear and true, that you have a particular magic of your own that no other living actress possessed.
And did your producer agree with him or say that I was a monster?
Both.
JC adores me, really, but he's always telling people that I'm impossible because I won't stand for any of his nonsense. And I've really never quite forgiven him for his behavior over Monkey Puzzle.
What did he do?
Fired Maureen Raleigh on the spot and brought over Barbara Copeland the week before we opened, without even discussing it with me.
Without consulting you, that's incredible. But what did you think of Barbara Copeland? Isn't she...
All gong and no dinner. Dreadful! And to cap everything, the critics who are incapable of telling the difference between a good part and a good actress gave her rave notices. I don't think I've ever been so deeply angry in my whole life. And I've never quite forgiven JC for that. His behavior killed something in me. Do you know what I mean? It isn't that one wants to go nursing grievances. One wants to make up and be friends and forget. But there are some things one just can't forget. After all, it wasn't myself I was thinking of. It was the play. That's where I'm such a fool. But I can't help it. I always put the play first. To me, the author is sacred.
My goodness, Miss Barry, if I were lucky enough to be your author and you treated me as sacred, well, I'd die of embarrassment.
Lorraine goes over and six nets to Brian on the sofa. She looks at him intently for a moment. When she speaks, the whole timbre of her voice changes, and with it her whole personality. It is as though the light in the room has been lowered. I want you to promise me something here and now. I want you to promise me that if I were to say yes, and I'm not really sure that I can, but if I were to say yes, you would always be absolutely and completely honest with me. What star sign are you?
I'm a Capricorn.
Yes, I thought so. I have a strange feeling that we are friends, even though we've only just met. I have the advantage of you, of course, because whereas you have never known me before, I have known you. I have learnt to know you and become fond of you through your lovely, lovely play.
Please, Miss Barry,
Don't say anything for a moment, my dear. Let me finish. I have never been good at paying extravagant compliments, particularly to anyone whom I respect, but I want to tell you frankly now that this agonizing, twisted, moving play of yours is one of the most beautiful things I have ever read, and I can only swear solemnly that if I did take it on, I would do my very best to prove worthy of it. She flashes Brian a brave smile, and he is startled to see that her eyes are filled with tears. The telephone rings. Damn it! I told Nora I didn't want to be disturbed. Hello? Who is it? Oh, Clemmy dear! I meant to have called you before, but Brian Snow is here, and I got so carried away talking about the script that I completely forgot what the time was. My agent. Yes, darling, of course I do. I think you might have warned me that he was young and attractive and had a divine sense of humor. I expected somebody middle-aged and starchy and difficult, and was prepared to tear myself to shreds in order to make him approve of me. Yes, of course he does. You do approve of me, don't you?
You know I do. I think you're wonderful.
What news from JC's office? Have they got anyone to play Stella yet? What about Marion Blake? In heaven's name, why not? Never heard such nonsense in my life. She's one of the best little actresses we've got. So it was Ray Malcolm who turned her down, was it? I see. And who does he suggest? Carol Wilde! He's from the tennis club, eats lunches and doesn't play tennis. Must be out of his mind. Hold on a minute. Your Mr. Thingamajig wants Carol Wilde to play Stella.
Yes, I know he does.
Have you even seen Carol Wilde?
Only once in Leave Me My Heart. I have to say I thought she was rather effective.
You can't possibly go by that. It's foolproof part. You couldn't begin to play Stella. She's far too young, and that maddening voice would drive people out of the theater. Always sounds as if she were gargling.
Yes, but in a way...
Listen, Clemmy, you can tell Mr. Whatever his name is that he'll have to think again. I wouldn't dream of playing that crucial scene in the last act with Carol Wilde. She's totally wrong for it. Yes, dear, I know the critics are potty about her, and I dare say she won a gold medal at the RADA, but if she plays Stella, she'll be playing it without me. The part cries out for Marion Blake. I can't help whether he likes her or not, and you can tell JC for me that I consider it a very high-handed of him to engage a director that I've never even clapped eyes on. Very well, dear. Call me in the morning. I shall be in until lunchtime. She places the receiver and sits silent on the moment with eyes closed. After a pregnant pause, she opens them again and holds out her hand. She speaks in a weary voice. Give me a cigarette, just to calm me down, because that really has put me in a most terrible rage.
Please don't be upset.
It's incredible, quite incredible.
I don't think Ray is all that set on Miss Wilde. I'm quite sure that if you talked it over with him, he'd see exactly what you mean.
He ought to know without my telling him that Carol Wilde in that part would throw the whole play out of kilter. That's what disturbs me, the fact that he needs to be told. I'm in despair. I really am. I don't think I can go through with all this.
I'll talk to Ray this evening. I'm sure we'll all be...
I blame JC. He's not what I call a producer. He's a glorified estate agent. He's always getting idiotic crazes for exciting new talent, as he calls it. Do you remember Yvonne Laurie?
No, I don't think I do.
Neither does anyone else. She was one of JC's exciting new talents. He dragged her out of the provinces where she was perfectly happy potting about in small repertory companies and gave her the lead in that French play that Edgar Price translated into basic Surbiton. She played a clapped-out Egyptian prostitute in chiffon trousers and an armful of slave bracelets. The play ran 3 nights.
What happened to her?
1 season at the Old Vic and then oblivion.
There was once talk of you going to the Old Vic, wasn't there?
There certainly was. They've been hounding me for years, but I'd rather die. I'm too old and too tired. I expect I'm too old-fashioned as well. I've been at the game too long. I learned the hard way. Now everything's different. Amateurs have taken possession of the theater. Take this young director you're all so mad about. Where did he learn his trade?
I think he was running a repertory company in Yorkshire when he was called up.
I've nothing against Rep. Nothing against it at all. He may be a genius for all I know, but this play of yours doesn't need genius. It has that already in the writing. What it needs is a real down-to-earth professional to direct it. A man with all the technical tricks at his fingertips. God preserve us from enthusiastic amateurs like Doody Rawlings who have ghastly theories about acting and witter on about rhythm and color.
I did think his Hamlet was rather exciting.
Oh, that unbleached calico. The closet scene looked like a tea tent on Derby Day.
You must admit the lighting was superb.
I admit no such thing. He lights the scenery, not the actors. Poor Rita Devon had more lines on her face than she had in the script. But let's not argue. You obviously share the same general opinion that Ray Malcolm is the new Messiah. I'm merely reserving judgment. But of this I do assure you, I always go into rehearsals with an absolutely open mind. I'm sure that Ray's brilliant, but you are the one to me who really counts.
You're very kind, Miss Barry.
Please, Lorraine, we're friends now. Friends and allies against a common foe.
I really don't think we should look on Ray as an enemy.
That was a joke. Actually, I can't wait to meet him.
Oh, does that mean?
Yes, of course I'll do it. Would you like a cocktail before you go?
But that's wonderful. No, I'd better not, thank you. I'm late as it is. I can't tell you how excited I am and how grateful, too.
This is our talisman, the token of our lovely new friendship. She kisses him impulsively on the cheek, and they look into each other's eyes.